What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are moving forward on the E23 733 that we are putting the 5-speed manual dogleg gearbox out of my Euro spec 635 CSI. Now, to get you guys caught up, I'm out here in Walnut Grove, California at my friend Sutton Morris's shop, Morris Motors. I had already shipped my 635 out here a couple years ago because this whole project was something that Sutton and I had talked about doing for a few years now. And everything's coming to the surface right now in such a short period of time because I decided I want to get this project done for the Overcrest Rally, which we're going on in May in southern Utah. We have the whole drivetrain out of this car, and this thing is just about done being pillaged for parts, except for everything else I'm going to sell to any of you guys who have E24s that want early Euro market CSI parts. Hit me up. But that being said, we left you guys off in the last episode with everything getting put in the E23. Everything but the pedal cluster, the shifter assembly, and a few other things. But the biggest hurdle we weren't sure if we were going to get over was whether or not we had drive shaft length to get everything in the car. And now that we do, we're buttoning everything up, and hopefully in this episode we are driving the E23. So as we're recording this, it's Wednesday of this whole week that I'm out here. We've got 2 more days after today to get this car basically all ready to go for the road trip from here in Northern California down to southern Utah for the rally, and then drive it cross country home to Tennessee. So while Gage is moving forward on the drivetrain, I'm working on the Euro spec E23 that we robbed the pedal cluster out of to take the bumpers off and see if we can salvage the Euro bumpers and Euro trim enough to get them on my US spec E23. Putting the Euro bumpers on are going to get that car to where it was originally designed to look like, but also clean up those awful US spec diving board bumpers. All right, so even though the bottom side of this rear Euro bumper on the Euro E23 we're robbing parts off of has a completely rotted out valence, I think we're gonna pull it anyway. The main reason why I'm even interested in using this bumper is because of how small this bumper is compared to the US bumper. This is ultimately how this 7 Series was designed in Germany, with these small chrome bumpers. So if we can salvage this and get it on that car, that's what we're going to do. But unfortunately under here is just roached. As I mentioned before, we need this too, since on the US market cars, I'll show you, a big plastic piece stretches around the side here that takes the OEM side marker. And so when you do a Euro rear bumper swap on these cars, you gotta have this piece of trim as well, so you get rid of that giant side piece with the side marker in it. All right, so I didn't film it, obviously, but got all 4 bolts out, no problem. Let's see if this rear bumper is rusted right onto this car. Try to get it off. All right, guys, well, I got the side trim off, and for how roached everything is on this car, for how destroyed all of the mounting locations, I mean, look at how rotted this is. Look at how perfect the actual side trim pieces are. And the studs on the back aren't broken at all. Unbelievable. Definitely gonna keep these side pieces because these are essential to doing a rear Euro bumper swap on an E23. You have to have these. They just won't look right without them. Still pretty incredible that Sutton had this laying around, especially with a BBS front splitter on it. All right, so it's lunchtime. Got some horchata and some tacos next door at the taco truck, which sets up in Sutton's yard right there. Got out here and pressure washed the rear bumper to get a better look at how bad this really is. For now, I'm just gonna spray paint it silver and put it on the car. Like, we've got 2 more days here. We haven't even driven the car yet. We don't know the status of the transmission. We don't have the pedal cluster in the car yet. We're working on so many other major components of this whole swap that this is just aesthetic. So for now, we'll just spray paint that. I'll go to the local hardware store here, get a silver that's close to the color of the E23. All right, guys, so here is everything we need for a full Euro bumper swap on a US market E23. We've got the front bumper, and in our situation, a pretty rare E23 BBS front splitter. And it's a rare bit because no one wanted the 7 Series stuff. They saved 3, 5, and 6 Series stuff. So the rear bumper, very tender valence, but we're just gonna run it. I know it's roached, but the fact that we have a Euro bumper is pretty cool. I mean, we're gonna be ripping down through dirt roads in the desert of Utah and then driving across country on the Tennessee. So for now, I'm just gonna spray paint them, maybe put a coat of clear on them, and we're just gonna rip it. The car is just gonna be basically a Canyon Carver ripper and just hammer it over some dirt roads. As you can see here, Gage got the crank position sensors in. This is the same harness off of the 7 Series. So we haven't changed that yet. They look the same. They look like they're the same length, and the diameter is the same with the O-rings that fit up in there so grime doesn't get through it. We are buttoning up the undercarriage here. We have the cradle in. We have the larger guibo, which is off the Euro E23 car. It's the 265/5 box out of the 635 CSI Euro car. We've got a brand new clutch and pressure plate, throwout bearing, flywheels out of the 635, drive shaft. Both pieces are out of this E23 with the automatic box. Carrier bearing carriage is out of this car as well, and shifter linkage and shifter itself is out of the 635 CSI. So we're mating things up, going back and forth, figuring out what works, what doesn't work. We're getting close. Basically, we just have to do the pedal cluster now, hydraulics, slave cylinder, master cylinder, those are all new, and put an exhaust on it real quick in order to drive it today. We consulted with Mike, Sutton's father, who's been doing this for a long time, and we got to look at drive shaft pitch and angle, spline engagement here, and shaft engagement ahead of the guibo. All looks good, all checks out. We won't know until we drive it, and we'll know if we got any vibration at any sort of RPM or speed or anything like that. We have 2 days left before I fly home, and this thing basically has to be ready for a cross-country drive with a rally in between. All right, so exhaust is up. Now, this is the E23 exhaust that was already on this car, and it's just kind of cobbled together, but we're gonna run it for now in hopes that we drive the car today. Brand new clutch slave cylinder. The bleeder had snapped off in the box. Gage opened the box up, and the bleeder's just rolling around in there, and the threads are still in the body, snap right off. So we searched everywhere here, all the calipers, out of all the calipers here and anything that takes a bleeder screw, they were all too big. So we're using the broke off shank part as a plug. We hammered in a little Torx bit to put like a head on it so we can tighten and loosen it. So that's what we're gonna end up bleeding the slave cylinder with. Everything underneath the car seems to be done except for bleeding the slave when we get the clutch all together. So now the car is down, we're working on pedal cluster. All right guys, so next morning, and Gage has the pedal cluster out of the silver car, and already we're noticing some serious differences. The pedal boxes and the way they mount are the same essentially. But one major thing is the Euro base model 4-speed manual E23 that we pulled this out of is a linkage throttle setup. It's a rod that goes straight through the firewall separately from the pedal box. And the silver car here, totally different. The throttle pedal mounts here and has a rod that crosses over on the pedal box to a cable that goes through the firewall through a hole in the pedal plate itself. So we really have to swap a bunch of stuff over here because as you can see, the automatic pedal box does not have a hole for a clutch master. Obviously the manual does. And the pedal rod itself for the brake arm, the brake pedal arm on this rod just has the brake pedal arm. This one has the clutch and brake with a spring for the clutch arm that fits into a groove up here that acts as like a stop, like a pivot point for that spring. This one has just a plate, so we got to weld something in here. So essentially what we're going to do, we're going to use this pedal box. Since this is obviously the one that has the throttle assembly on it. These gussets and braces are in different locations. This one's lower to allow for this throttle pedal arm to cross over the top and send the cable out. We're going to take this rod out and we'll ultimately put this rod in with both pedals on, since these are the same widths. So we're gonna cross that over. So the plan is now is to weld a stop in on this plate up here for the clutch arm spring, and also get a template made so we can drill a hole with 2 mounting holes for our clutch master. So that's what we're doing next. This is the biggest part of like the fabrication of the whole thing. Everything's been bolted in so far. We gotta do a little bit of cutting and welding here, but it's not major. Well, gotta run the Napa to see what they have for hole saw sizes. And apparently I get a chance to drive the 996 Turbo over there. This will be the first time I've ever driven a 996 Turbo. Oh yeah, I forgot it's a 911. It's on the left side. So that's where it goes. All right. Not bad. Is this gonna make me want a 996? I hope not. All right, little side quest to the parts store to get a hole saw. 996 turbo. They look good, but I don't know about the interior. I'm not that sold on the interior. It's almost like early 2000s-ish, you know? Like, it doesn't have the vintage vibe, and it's not quite like, I don't know. I guess it's vintage. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so we came up with a plan, and what we decided to do was, since we needed the hole for the clutch master cylinder to be as perfect as it can be, so there's no wiggling and it's nice and tight and centric, as it were, we decided to cut the whole plate out of the manual pedal box, because that has the clutch master hole that we absolutely need, and the mounting port. So this will mount right to it. We have a clutch master hole and mounting holes. Bolted it to this one to then be able to template this. And so yeah, now we'll ultimately plug weld this to this plate, and then we're almost ready to reassemble it after that. Yep. Well, it's upside down, but this is an automatic E23 pedal plate with a clutch master in it. Yeah, we've basically put the clutch pedal stop on it. We've put the clutch spring retainer up in there, and we've plug welded the whole plate on. So after some mock-up, hopefully this is all we needed to then continue just bolting things together. And this is like the last bit of the puzzle, essentially, aside from bleeding hydraulics and test driving it. All right, guys, so this is now a manual pedal box, and this thing is ready to go in. We are so close to driving this car. I can almost taste it. I've been splitting up so much time today between the car, editing an episode that you guys saw 2 episodes ago or something. I don't even know. All I know is it's Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow's my last day here, and we gotta finish the car. So we are going to get this pedal box in, and hopefully we are driving it this afternoon. Give that thing a push. Yeah. So throttle pedal's hooked up, and as we already talked about, this one's cable, the Euro E23 and the 6 Series are all linkage. So we had to modify that pedal cluster because of that. The hydro booster's on, brake master's on, clutch master's in, lines are hooked up. The only thing we gotta do, probably in the next episode, assuming we're driving this thing today, we are, he says. Love that attitude. We're just gonna have to weld on the factory bracket for the clutch slave and clutch master. Just gotta bleed the clutch system. Yeah, there's that little bracket. Goes on just like that. And it's the end of the day right now, but we're sticking it out right now to at least drive this thing. All right, guys, well, the E23 is back in the air, and now we're just giving over one look, and hopefully we're going to bleed the clutch system. Just make sure everything's tight. All right, we're just about ready. I am feeling quite a bit of anxiety about this. It's crazy to think that this transmission has been sitting in that 6 Series since 1997, and we just put it in the 7 Series. So off camera, we just started the car, put it up in the air, head gauge, pull it down into what we think is first, if this is a dogleg gearbox, and the wheels turned. And then put it in reverse, and the wheels went backwards. The transmission works in first gear and in reverse. All right, guys, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We've got a good clutch pedal, we've got a good brake pedal. Now we're about to take this thing for its first drive. Ugh. We still don't have any interior in it. Gotta put a shift knob on it. Come on in. Well, Gage has done a huge amount of work on this thing. It's been a long week, we're not quite done yet, but let's see if this thing works. All right, so that should be first gear. Ooh, we are moving though. working.
You know if that's a close ratio?
It's supposed to be. We're about to find out. This feels like first gear. Holy cow. That's first. That should be second. Third. Oh man. Fourth. Here we go. Fifth gear, boys. We've got a dogleg gearbox. This is so sick. Oh man, this is so sick. Man, that is crazy. Close ratio in the coolest pattern ever. Good work, dude. I don't think that'll ever get old. Like, shifting a gearbox like that would never get old. It feels smooth, too. Like, it's not like grinding in the gear. It's not making weird noises on acceleration.
Not to mention we ain't got no drivetrain or drive shaft.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I've been thinking about it the whole time. This whole time, I'm like,
yeah,
it feels perfect. It feels like it came from factory like this.
So drive shaft doesn't have any crazy wobbles or vibrations in any of the gears. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't think, because it feels like it should.
Natural.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, clutch, brake, shifter, everything. It's like this is a 7 Series manual that came with the dogleg.
Insane.
From factory.
I know. Third gear chirp. I am so excited about this. Gage, I don't think you understand how excited I am about this.
I have a feeling.
I'm freaking excited. This has been a long time coming. Wow, dude, this is so sick. Let us go. We've got ourselves a dogleg gearbox and a 7 Series. This thing's sick.
Is it?
Third gear rubber.
It's perfect.
Oh yeah, chirping third gear. Oh yeah. Not a single vibration in that drive shaft.
It's perfect.
All right, so automatic model throttle pedal had the kickdown stop. So now that that's out, you've got a better throw on the throttle, a little bit more wide open.
Burnout time. Let's go.
So we have established it's a 265/5 close ratio dogleg gearbox. It's been a long week and we're not done yet. I've got one more full day here. We've got wheels and tires to put on it. We've got suspension to sort out, and we've got the Euro bumpers we're gonna put on. Next episode, you're gonna see this car transform even more, especially getting those US diving board bumpers off. We're so close to being ready for the road trip to Utah for the Overcrest Rally in just 1 month. Gage killed it as well. Well, I could ramble on all night long about how stoked I am about this car, but you guys gotta stay tuned for the next episode where this thing aesthetically transforms and looks even better. Huge thanks to Sutton for putting this whole thing together. We got my 6 Series out here. The drivetrain is exactly the drivetrain we were hoping it was, and it works. My friend Nick's father, who passed away, who owned that car, clearly just had some sort of hydraulic issue with the clutch and parked it where it sat since 1997. So it's unreal to me to have that thing breathe life and be running and driving in a 733. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. A huge accomplishment for the week and a successful test drive. We're ending this episode and the week on a high note. Hopefully tomorrow goes well as we further prep the car for the road trip, not just to Utah, but cross country after the Overcrest Rally. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. All right, so last clip of the episode. We decided
I'm just getting fatter.
celebratory In-N-Out. This was a monumental day today. And, you know, we went to the favorite joint. So, in and out to end this episode.